Welcome to get another video. This video gonna be getting into why some narcissist relationships lasted longer than yours, right? Or why some in general just last longer than others. And the first thing we have to look at is in most cases it's due to someone enabling that behavior and the whole situation to play out the way that it does. For the most part, narcissists, again, they know there's a deadline to every interaction that they have with people on a relationship level. Okay. These are, these are a little bit more, I guess you can say, strategized and planned in how their approach is while you're in it with them than, let's say, a friendship or a person who's a coworker or whatnot, right? The narcissist can easily go undetected under the radar in those type of situations or in those environments because they only deal with you on a very limited basis and limited time frame in those type of situations to where you won't get the full um, gist of how they really are. Versus that's why they say they're at their worst in interpersonal relationships, like being like really close with them and their nearest and dearest. Those are the people who actually see and bear the brunt of all of the narcissist wrath that comes with them. Okay. So, for the most part, the enabler being someone who is closest to them, that they know that they can lean on as a crutch or manipulate, is going to be the person who basically keeps the narcissist around or provides a certain uh, continuum for the narcissist to operate the way that they operate with people. So, for example, the enabler, in a lot of ways, they may have came or have been brought up in an environment where they witnessed a lot of this type of abuse and behavior themselves, right? So if you take someone who came up in that way, they're going to be more apt to, put up with the narcissist versus someone who may have not been exposed to that as much, right? So it benefits the narcissist to really seek out and premeditatedly seek out individuals who have come from troubled backgrounds or who have a lot of self-esteem and insecurity issues about themselves. This is going to be the perfect victim for them to last longer than someone who's very confident and secure in themselves. The narcissist does not want to deal with that type of individual because it's not gonna render them the amount of control and power over that individual as someone who is more, weaker from being abused themselves. In a lot of cases, the individual that has came from that background won't even think about seeking help or looking outside of what's going on with them to fix it because that's part of all they know from coming up. That's normal to them. So they'll look at, okay, what can they do to comply more? Before they try to fix or leave, they're going to try to submit and comply more to the demands and the needs and the requests of the narcissist, right? And that individual is going to be actually helping to mold themselves into what the narcissist wants them to be. That that right there within itself to be a complete walking mat to the narcissist is going to provide uh, longevity throughout that situation for the narcissist to operate in the way that they do, even though it may be completely chaotic. That enabler, that person that comes from that type of wounded background themselves, will kind of somewhat begin to identify with the abuser, which is they call the Stockholm syndrome. And in some cases, more severe cases, even begin to like the treatment that the narcissist is giving to them. See, we have to look at there's many different components to why an individual may last with the narcissist that long. We're all different. We all have different breaking points, right? So in an instance where you have an individual who, develops some of that Stockholm syndrome, and then after, to the more extreme matters, they actually begin to like how the narcissist and desire how the narcissist is actually treating them. And then you have those who sometimes will relate it to and justify it by thinking that maybe they deserve the punishment that the narcissist is giving them. And so they will accept it and they will do with it because they have convinced their minds that this is okay, that this is what they probably get and what they deserve. So of course, these type of individuals are going to stick around a whole lot longer. And to the people that have asked me before about, oh, are they happy, or are they building or making it right with another narcissist, or well, in another situation at least, because when they were with them, this happened and they ended up leaving them, but now they're with this other person. It seems like everything's good. Again, you don't know the psychological conditioning of that other person and where they are mentally dealing with this narcissist. One thing you can be for sure of, there is going to be a certain amount of abuse and dysfunctionality within that situation that no normal person should want to desire to be in anyway. Okay? Point blank bottom line. Right? That's nothing that you would want to be in, to enable an abuser to basically, preside over you, controlling you, dominating you, being unfair to you in that way. That's nothing that a normal person would stick around in anyway. So when you see these long relationships, most of the time the enabler has something about them that was troubling that they came up with, where it makes it a lot harder to identify what abuse actually is. Some don't relate abuse the same way as other people. You have some people who will put up with stuff in a situation, and their breaking point is as long as they don't get cheated on, they'll allow the verbal abuse, they'll allow the physical abuse, but the moment they cheat on them, that's their cutoff point. You see, so everybody has their own, degree of boundary that they have set before them based on the principles and values of what's important to them. So we can't look at it from a state, well, what happened with yourself when you were dealing with them, because it's completely different from the other person who may have a completely different psychological makeup than you, right? But at the end of the day, as far as the narcissist is concerned, the routine, the pathology of how they operate remains the same. They're going to love bomb, then devalue, then discard them. And the abuse is definitely going to be there as well. And this person will put up with all of this just to have that individual around who they feel in some sort of way completes them. But you have to look at that individual who is going through that as well. Sometimes they don't have enough information to recognize that this is abnormal and not normal, that this doesn't go on in the average household or the average marriage, right? And sometimes we take for granted that everybody is supposed to already know this, but some people don't. And this is how some people end up lasting in these situations a lot longer than they should. A lot of times also people are afraid to disconnect and let go of what they have invested their time, money, emotions, all of this stuff, they don't want to let go of that and have to deal with the final inevitable consequences of a total loss. They don't want to have to deal with that pain that comes with that. They don't want to have to deal with the humiliation and the embarrassment that comes with that. So they'll hang on and hang on and hang on to a dead situation in hopes that somehow it miraculously fixes itself. And it never does. And so the inevitable ends up happening where that person has to let go. But we have to be mindful for each one of these situations. Everybody has their own breaking point and separation point for what they deem to be a deal breaker with them. And we can't generalize and think it's going to be the same way across the board for everybody else. Be mindful. The narcissist picks, when they seek out to pick individuals to do this with, they're never the same with one source to the next. The narcissist and how they operate remains the same, but they show them a different character that will be fitting for that individual to be comfortable with initially, so that they can get in, so that the individual, gravitates towards the narcissist and everything that they're doing. But the end result is the same. But the narcissist is always, while in that situation, scheming, plotting, observing, gathering intelligence on how to most effectively keep you in a submissive position, at least, so that you're not, taking the right proper measures in most cases to get out of the situation correctly. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this video. Please hit the like button, everyone. Hit the like button. Share these videos too. Some people definitely do benefit from them. Also, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. A lot of people have asked me about the first tour I did, the Quiet Weapons for Silent Wars Against Narcissists, which went into, a lot of the tactics and stuff on how to deal with these individuals. It was recorded live. Recorded that in New York. You can get a copy now. There's a limited amount of copies available. It is digital. You can get a copy. I'll leave the link in the description box, and they'll probably leave at the end of this video a brief trailer on it, so you can take a look at that. It is available now. Also, the Departure of Empathy documentary that I produced, which was excellent. A lot of information, detailed stuff in there, dramatization, some reenactments on narcissistic situations and stuff like that. So those two definitely good starters to go with as well. Again, I'll leave that at the end. There'll be a trailer on that at the end of this video as well. But make sure you check that out, and I'll talk to most of you soon. Have a good one.